I am joined now by Noel Nickpour, Republican strategist and fundraiser, Ozzy Pabra, a senior reporter for Politico New York, that is, and Victoria DeFrancesco, MSNBC contributor and professor at the University of Texas Center for Mexican American Studies. All three of you, thank you so much for being with us. Let me start with you, Noel. At what point should the president-elect stop doubting these conclusions by the intelligence community, and what's really going to change his mind about that?
I don't think anything's really going to change his mind about it, and I think that, they have proved that there has been an infiltration by the Russians. I think, we know that there's been some hacking, but I think that depending on how he goes forward with his new administration, what they can do, what the boundaries, and how that they can counteract that going forward. So, we all know that there was hacking. Everybody knows that. But what President-elect Trump can do going forward is to make sure that we have some of the best firewalls protecting everyone, not just government, not just Republicans or Democrats. But I mean, if you remember, some of this happened not with Russia, but on the other side with Sony. I mean, so this is a horrible thing that's happening to the United States, both with private companies, and now that they can see that I don't really think this affected Hillary Clinton's campaign. I think if she were a better candidate, in my opinion, I don't think it would have mattered. But it sure was a huge headache for Podesta, for Debbie Wasserman Schultz. It was really horrible. It doesn't need to be happening. I don't cheer it on. I don't think it's great. But I will tell you that something has got to be done. The United States has got to put together some sort of firewall to prohibit this happening, not only in government, but in the private sector as well, because this could affect markets. This could go far beneath, because you could expose things that would actually affect a corporation and affect stockholders and what it does. So the ramifications can go even further than messing up campaigns or secrets.
Ozzy, I want to bring you in because the president yesterday talked about this. He also talked about Republicans, basically saying that you didn't do enough to stop this. I want you to take a listen to his remarks.
That wasn't news. The president-elect during the campaign said so. And then after the election, suddenly they're asking, oh, why didn't you tell us that maybe the Russians were trying to help our candidate? Well, come on.
Was that enough? I mean, did he do enough to stop the critics saying, look, you knew about it, but you didn't say much?
I mean, we can all look back and say the media focused too much on these stories that didn't prove as much as the hype suggested. We can also say that Obama didn't underscore the point loudly enough. Hillary Clinton's campaign didn't knock down this argument enough. Remember, there were questions about her use of a private server that had gone on for weeks, if not months. And if they were not able to put that question aside, something like a hack was obviously going to undermine them even more. There's going to be a lot of questions about 2016 about how did this happen, so how did we get here? What Donald Trump can do going forward is stop undermining the intelligence community by preemptively rejecting their findings, because he views any results that they come up with about hacking as basically saying he's not a legitimate president and he's defending against his electoral victory. You can have Russian hacking, you can have Putin, putting his thumb on the scale to support Trump, and you can also have Hillary Clinton not running the most effective campaign and not being the best candidate.
So all these factors could play into
all of these can be true,
yeah.
And Donald Trump can very much say, you put America first, you make America great again by focusing on cybersecurity. That's one way that he can meld his message with the issue at hand.
I have to bring in Victoria because Hillary Clinton is specifically talking about the Comey letter and how it affected the outcome of the election. Here's what she had to say.
Take it from Nate Silver, who's pointed out that swing state voters made their decisions in the final days, breaking against me because of the FBI letter from Director Comey. And Nate Silver believes, I happen to believe this, that that letter most likely made the difference in the outcome.
She also described Putin's personal beef with her as a factor, but Democratic donors are looking for much more of an explanation than just that. In fact, one fundraiser telling Politico, quote, a lot of people are saying, I'm not putting another expletive dime in until someone tells me what just happened. Victoria, is Clinton being short-sighted and placing the blame on Russia and the CIA?
A little bit, Betty. I think let's take a couple of steps back, and the other panelists talked about this. Hillary Clinton had a very weak campaign to start from. You know, now hindsight's 20/20, so we see that. So we had a fundamentally weak campaign, but then on top of that, in the last week or two, you have the Comey letter. And let's not forget that also in the last days of the campaign is when there was the news that the Obamacare premiums were going to go up. And that really got a lot of folks on the ground angry because they would feel it in their own pockets. And then finally, we had that drip, drip, drip of the WikiLeaks. So am I going to say that was the determining point? I don't know. But had she had a fundamentally strong campaign, one that was connected to the people, to the grassroots, I think these last couple of things that happened, in particular the Comey letter, probably wouldn't have affected her. But you put the Comey letter, the WikiLeaks, and the Obamacare premiums together with the fundamentally weak campaign, and we have what we have today.
All right, Victoria, Noel, and Ozzy, I thank you all for joining us today. We do appreciate it.
Thanks.